Good morning, everybody. Can you hear the screams? What crazy action. And we speculated on what could have happened yesterday as a stretch as to could this really happen, but we'll get to that. But look, the technicals are the technicals and what we base our decisions on. And so with yesterday's up move, what was in the making to see what would happen, and we've talked about this over the weeks as we discuss what's happening on any given day as it related to yesterday and what might transpire based on those technical setups, support and resistance. And so one of the things that we spoke about was this move down, which was positive, and as interest rates went down, the broader markets went up. And then, as this went up here, the markets held up really quite well. And we discussed in part a little bit of a disconnect. And so, yesterday and the day before, TBT interest rates, we look at this for the 10-year, started to accelerate lower. And, we see the markets go up. And so now what's going to happen here at the support? So as we were looking at this last night, of course, the weekly chart is, in the making, right? Because the week isn't done. So last night, this was a wide range red bar, but it's not complete. So, you have to be really aware of what you're thinking and having your checklist to say, hey, hold on there. That bar is not done yet. And it looks pretty damn convincing that it's going to close with a big, nasty red bar. And if it does that, does it form a 1, 2, 3 and drop? And what does the disconnect possibly mean? And so on and so forth. And so now we see with the economic news that came out this morning, interest rates are moving higher quite quickly, and this is becoming a bottoming tail bar. And so now this has implications for, what started a few days ago when we discussed, I guess, yesterday, the day before, with that Bear Island reversal in the NASDAQ. And so let's get to that. And so yesterday's reversal was, okay, look, it's in an uptrend. We got to give the uptrend the benefit of the doubt. And so it closes well. Now, what is it going to do? Is it going to fill the gap? Is it going to keep going up? Is it going to be, what the slide said this morning, a bull sandwich, which is a red bar and a green bar and a red bar, and the red bar would be basically engulfing or closing down here. Now, we don't know. Now, what's really interesting as we look at these markets is, okay, things just sold off in a really nasty way. But now we look at where they are relative to yesterday's price action on the daily chart. And it's like, okay, it's sold off here pre-market, but it's sitting on top of these bars. So now it kind of puts us in a tough spot as to, look, this thing got room to drop. As you can see here, I've got this marked void, but we also have this pivot low right here. So to get into the void, I need to do that. To get into the void, we've got to crack yesterday's low. And that may happen. And so if this continues lower, into this area here, we will get, if it closes that way, we will get that bull sandwich pattern, which is a continuation pattern lower. And so as we look at charts in 2020 hindsight, and we could, point this out, Dan and I could do an MT live and say and show, look, gap up, gap up, gap up. It's getting extended, creating a void. It gaps down, Bear Island reversal. And look, and now we show you the bear sandwich and things go down. Well, that's all great to talk about the past and patterns and so on. But we don't know what's going to happen. And yesterday was pretty good proof of that. And that, hey, maybe it would have stayed in the lower part of this bar. Maybe it would have just had another down day into the 20 MA. And lo and behold, it gaps up a little and it closes strong. And we all know about Meta. I mean, I typed in the green room yesterday, man, this is like 1999. And, gapping up like that. I think the only difference would be, in 1999, like Meta yesterday didn't do very much. It was a little topping tail bar. In 1999, you were around back then. Not meet. Can't meet PA without the dot, Gregory. In 1999, this would have been a wide range bar up, and then it would have gapped up another 15+%. Right? I don't know. Do fundamentals ever matter, Alex? Not in the moment, they don't, but I guess long term they do. But that's another discussion. But the price action, what happened after the close, like 1999. It's crazy. All right. So anyway, we've got this big gap up. We got Apple gapping down. There's pluses and minuses and all of that. And the price action is crazy. It's like, kicking and screaming. I'm not giving up on this advance. There's not going to be any correction. I want that Fed to lower those interest rates, banging the table. And now they get some disappointing data, and it's reversing in the other direction. And it's like, okay, let's see what's going to happen by the end of the day. And that's what we do. So doing what we do every day, here's that bullish 180, but after a gap down and a breakout failure. So that's not an ideal pattern. Whereas if it would have happened down here near support, it would have been all over that buy. And now with this sell-off, it's only coming down to the top of the green bar. So as dramatic as this up bar looks, and then as dramatic as this appears, not appears to be, is coming down, basically we're standing in place here. It's just whipping back and forth. And we're going to have to see, what this looks like. This is stabilizing here, not doing much of anything. It is coming down to a little support here, which is yesterday's high. And there'll be some fishing, testing the waters to see who's going to continue to step up here and hold this up here. Or does, after a half hour, do the buyers throw in the towel and it comes back down again? And it's going to be a little tricky. The weekly chart is extended. It's losing momentum. I mean, here's your igniting bar. Another igniting bar. It loses momentum and it continues higher. The distance between the highs is coming together. And now we've got a small candle body so far. So we have clues of a turning point, which has not totally been confirmed yet. So it tends to be a bit treacherous. Just like bottoms can be treacherous, tops can be treacherous because, the powers in charge don't want to give it up yet. And that's what creates distribution patterns. And whether that becomes an M top or a head and shoulders top, none of us know. So we're still waiting for things to develop here to come to a more conclusive belief about the future. The uptrend, there's some shaky information here to say it's definitely losing momentum. Whether it's over yet, we don't know. Ultimately, it's going to have a deep retracement and violate the uptrend breaking major support. So, right now you see what's going on here. So don't get too ahead of what is because of some wild price action in the moment or day to day. Right? SPX. We know where this is, unfilled gap. This strike up here on the surface seems like a no-brainer, which was, yesterday's thoughts as well. And the downside seemed like not such a no-brainer. It was a little lower, but anyway, it was the gap up and went. And so, prices are right here. And I don't think it's going to hit either one. There is some other news coming out here at 10 o'clock. So be aware Factory orders, Michigan consumer sentiment, Michigan 5-year inflation expectations, final consumer sentiment expectations, final, and so on. So 10 o'clock, things might move around. All right. Transports, it's a mess. The Russell, things turned around, bottoming tail bar. Overall, it's a mess. This is, in the lower part of that bottoming tail bar. I got an alert at the bottom here. Just, a trading range, as you can see, pretty messy. Here's the futures, which tanked with other markets. And as we look here, we see, the wide range bar and the bodies are in the lower 50%. And if this closes like this or lower, you'll be hearing me saying, let's look for this to go down to this down here. And this is while still, trying to make a bottom, a weak close would then suggest a test of this low. And then we see where we go from there. What else? Dow was strong. It's down, just making a Christmas tree kind of a pattern here. Back and forth, not too deep into the green bar. Bitcoin, all over the place. And, gold all over the place. We've been talking about, is this beginning to, and it still might be, I don't know. You don't know until you get some pattern that you trade. So could this turn into a 180 reversal? It looks unlikely. Could this become a bottoming tail bar? I don't know. So I don't know. Stay away. There's no pattern here. Silver tanked. Stay away. Crude oil looks lower. It looked like it was going higher here, but trading range, as you know. So it's moved to the top of the trading range where there's sellers. Now it's coming back down. There's a lot of confusion here, what the Fed's going to do, what they're not going to do, what's oil going to do, which way this is going to go. So it's a bit of a loony house right now. So, pick your patterns as they do. We'll pick our intraday points as we do. And what's working, we'll cheer ourselves, and what's not, we'll get the hell out of the way and take our calculated losses. I think that's it. All yours, Dan.
You're quick. Good morning. All right, I don't have any alarms going off, so let's go right to earnings. I didn't do any earnings trades, but if you sold puts on Meta or Amazon, you're happy. If you did them on Apple or Team, you're not so happy. All right, so Amazon gapping up $10. Is that, no, it's not all time highs, but nothing to do with it. I don't have a bias on that. A Team, nasty gap. I would like it, I love gaps just under or above consolidation. So if it were opening here at 238, then I would say day trade, 10, 15 minute low short, and, call spread. But I doubt there's going to be any juice for a call spread, but it's a definite candidate. Let's see, Thomas here on YouTube. Yeah, there's a little bear sandwich. Yeah, Thomas always gives me good ideas. He emails me in the morning. Let me, as he mentioned, Michael Jackson. Wow, that thing ripped yesterday. Yeah, my up alarm went off. We're already in it from much lower prices, but yeah, that's an igniting bar. That's the biggest green bar in a long time. KOD. Yeah, Greg mentioned that. Thomas yesterday. It's a bio though, but daily, weekly, monthly look fantastic. It's on my list already. Let's go back to earnings up here. All right, so team, I mentioned Apple started up, a dollar or two yesterday. The pattern suggested a continued bounce to me if we open flat. But now 181, gapping right to these prior lows. It's an ugly gap under a green bar. But today's Friday, zero DTE day. So I will be looking for zero DTE trades, credit spreads, naked calls and puts. So if this takes out a 30-minute high, even though I would never touch it as a long, we'll see what it looks like. Taking in some premium to call a low for the day. Meta I have as a call spread watch. Now it's not a classic gap and crap just because of these two bars here. It turns out to be a continuation pattern. That's why I just called it excessive gap. It's excessive. Yeah, gapping up $50, up 60, I mean. You don't think there's gonna have some profit taking? But you got to let it bounce it around. Of course, it can rally another $20. I have no friggin' idea. But my bias is if it bounces around and can't take out a 30-minute high, then I think that's a short-term high for the day. That's simple. Oscar Charlie here. Delta 20 is giving me, yeah, that's a beautiful closing breakout. That's, we have empty lives on every imaginable subject, including breakouts. And this is a month-long consolidation. Rising 50, rising 200, flat 20, red bar ignored, bullish price action, closing breakout. That looks fantastic. Delta 20. Earnings are fine in April, so I'm going to put that in a window. Back to earnings. VIAV, no pattern, only up 13 cents. Microchip, semis have had a hard week. 82.60, no pattern though. If this opened flat, then I would have said over Wednesday's high would have been a good buy setup, but Gap's messing it up. Core, $21. Bullish Gap. Need to watch it on a pullback though. Leslie, no pattern. I remember saying I thought this thing was going out of business. Right over here on this red bar, I said this thing looks absolutely horrible, and it actually came back from the dead, but still looks bad. What's his cousin doing? His cousin is Pool. Look at that, $375. So Pool is eating his lunch. FedEx, down a lot. I don't like breakdowns like that without a continuation pattern. Jen, gapping under a green bar, call spread candidate. A couple oils here reporting, and I'll put spread at best, 15-minute high. But I have so many here. I'm in the process of winnowing down my list. SPX was a bullish consolidation. Now the gap's wigging it out. So that call spread candidate, if there's any juice. DXC, no pattern. CPT. Put spread if there's any juice. I like the volume here on the 180 reversal. Very nice volume here, and it looks like it's opening up a couple pennies, which I just call flat. This put spread candidate over the red bar. Let me set an alarm at 85.30. Lex, relatively flat, no pattern. AIG, This was up, down, no pattern. And, just trying to save the bet. Now, this was a beautiful Delta 20, like your Oscar Charlie. Greg says the same but different. Month-long consolidation, breakdown failure, going sideways, closing breakout, red barred Nord, closing breakout weekly. Gap's too big, but that. Oh, I was contemplating selling the 137 and a half puts yesterday. I think it wasn't enough premium, but I was tempted. Lipa, kind of a bull flag. Let's come back to it. Expo $78. That's getting whacked. No pattern though. Opening flat, no pattern. Hub G, I don't see a gap. We'll come back. Post up $3. 96. Gotta watch a pullback. Column getting whacked. 70. A big gap. That's an ugly big gap, but I don't have a bias until I see it trade for at least 30 minutes. This too extended. OTEX. That's bullish. I'm watching on a pullback. Deck. And there's no volume. I see one print way the heck up here. This was a beautiful buy setup with a 180 new low reversal. Right over this green bar's high was a no-brainer long entry. I like pointing things out, even though I didn't see it, of course. I just point out when I see them very high probability setups because I'm just highlighting another example for your memory bank. I don't see a gap, but yesterday's high would be a put spread. Oh, SkyWest had earnings, Alex. I didn't notice that. It shows it down, but yeah, I posted in Telegram when I was scanning airlines. There's a number of airlines that are beautiful setups here. RGA will come back. I see no prints. A little bull flag here. I'm going to set an alarm at 123 on this. Looks good. Yeah, Joe, isn't that what trading is? You hear me using the silly analogy of, hey, this is Halloween part 94. We all know when you hear the music and the girl at 2 in the morning is roaming around the kitchen and they play that music, she's going to get a knife coming at her head in one way or another. We've seen that movie. And that's what pointing these out does. It's like, this is a high probability trade. All right, B0, I see one print down here, but I'm going to set an alarm at 3280. This is a beautiful inverse head and shoulder breakout. Let's set an alarm 8950. ENSG. Nah, it really needs it. If it gets over Wednesday's high, it looks good. All right, so these are in the morning now. XOM. Yeah, Delta 20, you were late. Thomas already mentioned it. And I said yes. Well, wait, I hold on, I forget actually. Hub. Yeah. Bear sandwich breakout. Yeah. Yeah, Hub's on the list from Thomas. Closing breakout, a little sloppier in the 20s far from the 50, so it's more extended, but gapping up. Put spread idea, yesterday's low, Dodge, put you to work this morning. CVX 150, put spread idea, Dodge, yesterday's low, 10-minute high. Rengen, It's kind of a, kind of self-correcting uptrend. It's a churner, I call it. Bullish though. We'll come back to a BMY. It's been a dog. Charlie India 314. Put spread idea at best. AON down $3. We'll come back to you, but let's set an alarm at 300 spot 40. Because if it negates the gap down, it's a bottoming pattern. Oh, look, I had an alarm on 301 from yesterday. Robert, it's the screen name of somebody on YouTube. Charter. Oh, I'm glad I didn't do this. I was looking at a put spread on this, nice bottoming pattern. But I think they were too spready or whatever. So that's the gap is destroying that pattern. That's an ADR. I don't like gaps too big. Oh, well, I said gap's too big, $9, but wow, $900 stock. That's a tank, but too far from the 20 for me. Mo, I don't like the overlapping bars, gives me a headache. Same with this. The Alex. Remember, this was the one we said was a condor setup. It would have worked 100% perfectly. It's an inside gap. We were talking about doing the 90s and the hundreds. So again, another Halloween part 89. That one would have worked. But you're a little bit of Russian roulette playing with earnings. All right, Chud under yesterday's bar, call a 0 DTE call spread idea. BEP, I don't like the pattern. This is a little bull flag. This looks good. Dodge put spread idea. It's $400 stock, so I'm sure it's going to be very spready at the open, so no rush. Now this I said yesterday, if it opened flat, I liked it higher. Gap's messing it up. This gapping down. If it holds though, right at this level, it would be a 1, 2, 3 for tomorrow. T extended. All right, that's all the earnings stock. So I highlighted the ones I liked the best. HLI alarm, gap's too big. This was an earnings one. Remember I said over Wednesday's high, I liked it a lot. But the gap's messing it up. Kellogg. We bought this into the close yesterday. Looks great. Let me set a new up alarm. Tick negative 1360. Greg, explain that one to me. I mean, I know the obvious, but give me the not so obvious. With the market gapping up, why the heck is a tick negative 1300?
Just more stocks gapping down.
Well, I know that's the obvious one. Give me the not so obvious answer.
I don't know. I don't know. I think there's only the obvious.
Man. That
So Dan, first of all, it's how many stocks are trading on upticks versus downticks. So at the open, there were more stocks trading on downticks. And as you know, that could change in 30 seconds, a minute.
Okay, so maybe it's not. I just can't remember the last time I've seen a market gap up, and so are people just hitting the bid to take their profits on anything gapping up?
It gapped up slightly, but it came off of where it was much higher. So when we looked at what was happening pre-market, I said, hey, it's come way down. So a lot of things are coming down, trading on the tick isn't updating, but things are trading on down ticks because they,
Right.
market is coming down, but then the market gaps up because it opened up on top of yesterday's high, give or take.
All right, K Kilo doing great. New up alarm. I still don't have any alarms going off. Now this Burl I had as a call spread idea yesterday, but then I canceled it. I see that down a little bit, but it would be a bull sandwich breakdown. Cake is a deep retracement. We sold a third into the strength though yesterday at the high. Apple, look at Google, it's tanking here for some reason.
It's already weak.
Look at SIBO. Memorize